charge of Eastern Region. I'm going to take you through the network of UNIMA weather observation stations and their role in the production of weather forecast products. The previous presenter has taken you through what the mandate of UNIMA is, but for this matter, I'm going to take you through what Directorate of Station Network Observation does. Obviously, it is one of the 5 directorates under UNIMA, and it is mandated to establish weather observing stations across the country, produce records of weather observations, which are used by other directorates while generating weather forecasts, advisories, early warnings, and climate-related research. TSNO is also mandated to deploy weather observers to make routine weather observations, that is across the entire country. These are some of the weather stations that we have, all the different categories of the weather stations. Previous speakers have talked about them. I'll only give you the network itself, or the numbers. Like the synoptic weather stations, they are 12 and they are all functional. Then we have the hydrometeorological stations. They are around 17 and 9 are operational. Then we have agrometeorological stations. They are 24 and 18 are operational. Then we have the automatic weather stations. These are around 114 across the country. We have rainfall stations. The director talked about donating rain gauges to schools. And if you only have a rain gauge as an instrument, that is called a rainfall station. There are around 89 weather stations. Then we have marine. These have just been recently installed and they are around 9. We have 1 upper air station. We have 3 radars, and then we have wind shear detection. Then at these stations we are able to measure temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity, surface wind, precipitation, radiation, sunset duration, visibility, evaporation, observe clouds, that is amounts, and also the cloud-based heights. Then of recent also UNIMA procured a spectrometer which measures the atmospheric composition. And I think in Africa we're only having 2. We also measure upper air and also detection of the wind shear. At these stations that I've mentioned, we have a weather observer. And I'm going to take you through what a weather observer is entitled to do, all the duties of a weather observer. Joseph in the morning took you through the minimum qualification of a weather observer, which should be a certificate in meteorology at the NMTS. However, we are having observers who are graduates, like Teddy. Teddy is already having a degree. So basically, these observers make synoptic climatological observations to the required representative using the given instruments. They also maintain instruments, metadata documentation, and also maintaining the observing sites in good working conditions. They also code and dispatch observations. Like they will tell you that weather doesn't have boundaries, it is exchanged. But when it is being exchanged, usually it is in code form. That is what I mean. It is coded and dispatched to the respective offices. If it is A sign-off, data is usually relayed to NMC at the top of the synoptic hour. That is at 06, 09, and 1200. And usually they also dispatch the candles. That is the end of the 10 days. The candle is usually 10 days. And also monthly. They also maintain recording device. Here I have an example of changing the charts, like the hygrograph, but currently it's not in use, but we have the sunshine recorder, whereby the observer on duty is meant to change those cards. To make or collect weekly, monthly record of meteorological data, where automatic systems are unavailable or inadequate, that one I've just explained. To provide supplementary or backup observations when automatic equipment does not make observation or it's out of service. For example, visibility. There are some cases where the observer can make an observation even without the instrument. For example, you can, while observing visibility, we have visibility mark points. But even when we don't have, the observer is meant to do that observation using the experience. And also is meant to respond to any public, professional inquiry, or forward any visitor around. Usually when, like upcountry stations, they usually get visitors from within the locality. Even some schools tour, or university students can tour and is able or is in position to attend to them. But cases where he cannot handle, visitors are always preferred head office. Marine observation. This one I've just told you, we have 9 buoy stations already installed. They were installed last year. That was in November 2022. And 6 on Lake Victoria, 2 on Albert, and 1 on Choga. Sometimes these can be called buoy weather stations or marine weather stations. And you have there are 2 types. We have the stationary large buoys, and then we have the traveling buoys. But those ones which were installed, these are the big stationary buoys. Usually these ones have anchors and they have chains, whereby the anchors go down to the base of the lake where it is installed, and then we have this upper part which surfaces on top. It is able to monitor a number of parameters. And over Lake Victoria, one is in Kazi, another one in Masese, Luanika, Nambemu, Chiindi, and Misonzi. Then over Albert, we have Panyamul and Kaiso. Then Zengebe over Lake Choga. And these are one of their kind in East Africa. Also, amongst the East African community countries, they are only found in Uganda. That is the pictorial view of how it looks. Actually, one of them was facing vandalism upon completion of its installation because it was yellow in color and people thought it was something political. And to make matters worse, it was installed just nearby Bob Wine's Wonder Beach, that is Kazi. So we had to come in as an organization to write a write-up about it. Those are some of the parameters. There are 13. But for us, we are basically interested in the first 4. Then these ones, they are basically of interest in the fisheries sector, where they are interested in the objects in turbidity, precipitation, and the likes. But for us, we're interested in the wave heights period, the current, speed, and direction, then water current to the surface, and then the lake temperatures. These ones help us in increasing the accuracy of our marine forecast. They've given you in short range or in directorate of forecasting, we have marine forecast as one of our products. It has been in production since around 2012, but we didn't have these boys in place. We've been using satellite data, but with its limitations, we've not been getting it sometimes right. So the government of Uganda invested a lot of money through Ministry of Works and Transport, and we were able to install these boys, which is an achievement for Yuma. Challenges. These challenges have been already mentioned. It is basically technological advancement per se, because UNEP or United Nations Environment Program saw the impact of mercury within the environment and the people. So they wanted to protect the lives of people and the environment. That's why through this conversion of the Mimata Convention, they decided to put a ban on any instrument or equipment that is using mercury as an input to be put at a store, no production, export or importation of such. As much as we have advancement in technology with increasing electronic and digital technologies, that is barometer, thermometer, and the hygrometers, but Africa, as you know, we are always limited with funds. You know, we had the thermometers in place, which had the mercury, but now with this conversion in place, we can no longer purchase any of these instruments of this kind. So as Uganda is part of Africa where poverty is all over the place, and we are always living with unlimited funding from government, and what you're always given a time frame to migrate from what has been banned to what has been invented. Continuation of the challenges, we have lack of enough funding from the national budget to do all those activities across the country, then limited staffing. We also have a challenge of vandalism. And this one is very common in the hard-to-reach areas, especially Kalamoja region. An example can be that station in Namalu district. Then another challenge is that some, not all, some rainfall observers are not so much committed to record and transmit data in time. Like our director before he left, he mentioned about whenever, for example, in schools, we work with what? We work with other people apart from our staff, and we do carry out those what? Carrying out observatories, making readings and what? We have the community with observers and we have the rainfall observers. But you find that, for example, a school was given as an example, whenever they have a close-off term, we don't have continuity of data. Sometimes the teacher in charge of the rainfall station can be tasked to maybe some committee, maybe going to them for marking, and can keep away for 3 weeks. So we shall not be getting data for that time frame. So I find that it will affect the quality of our data that we are archiving. That was the quite important. Then the role of UNIMA, the role of I think this will add some errors, but the role of the telecommunication network of stations in the production of the weather forecast. You find that in every weather forecast, every early warning of a life-threatening hazard, and every long-term climate change projection are observational weather data. While satellites are becoming increasingly important, this does not diminish the need for reliable and accessible surface-based observation. There are big gaps in the ground-based observing network, in particular the list of countries, of which Ghana is among. This reduces the quality and the accuracy of numerical weather prediction products. So our network of stations has to be built up to reduce under what? To increase the quality and also increase the accuracy of our final